Welcome back. It's rainy, it's cold, and I've been spending my week with the 2026 Subaru Crosstrek Hybrid. This one is Sand Dune Pearl, and it is the utilitarian all-wheel drive daily thing for someone who's not necessarily a big car enthusiast, but for someone who needs a car to do the job they're doing, which is getting them through the snow, through the mud, sometimes off-roading trails, and stuff that maybe a front-wheel drive vehicle doesn't give them the confidence to do. So let's jump in. It's windy, it's cold, and we're gonna go to the gym and we'll do a full review on this car very soon, but I figured a rainy commute into town. I live in the middle of nowhere. There's no real town to go into, but let's get it started up. Oh, as my phone falls out of my pocket. There you go. The startup doesn't have much fanfare until, it'll wait a second, but until this 2.5 liter, there it is, boxer engine starts, which I think this powertrain is really interesting to me because most of the hybrids in this sort of segment have a very traditional inline 4-cylinder. What I love about this is it's almost like this goofy mismatch, just because this 2.5 liter boxer engine, it's not the most efficient thing in the world. So clearly its job is to be a Subaru. But what I really like about this car is that it's properly all-wheel drive. If you go for the more expensive Civic hybrid, I think the Civic overall is a better car. I think it's a little bigger. It offers more space in the back. In fact, I was taking my bike out in this the other day, and it just fits, whereas I have quite a bit of room in my Civic hatch. Yes, it's a Type R, but it's the same interior space as any other Civic hatch. This is a little bit smaller, but it offers all the things you want out of a Subaru. So let's drop this parking brake, get it into reverse. Love that it has a normal stick. Decent camera for the back, and we'll even do a little wipe here. I didn't notice it says Subaru across the back of the car, so I can actually just remind myself what I'm in. The Crosstrek Hybrid is new for 2026. What's interesting about it is that it does the proper Subaru all-wheel drive thing the way it's meant to, which means it has a drive shaft all the way to the rear. So there's not an extra motor in the back that's just running the rear wheels and creating an all-wheel drive system. It is a proper, symmetrical, full-time all-wheel drive setup. That's what you want from Subaru, and they've definitely given it to you. What's interesting, though, is because this engine's running right now, it's got that sort of Subaru rumble. It still has that roughness to it, which is what you want out of this car, and actually something I respect a lot about it, because everyone else just kind of goes with the lowest common denominator engine that'll work, whereas like it's neat that this thing actually uses the heritage. What it doesn't do better than anybody else is fuel economy, which is typically what you're thinking the point is of a hybrid, right? You're getting a hybrid setup so that way you can get better fuel economy. The standard Crosstrek without the hybrid system gets about 27 miles per gallon if you're lucky. This will do 36, but if you're looking for that well-rounded package that still has the all-wheel drive system you want and is like a utilitarian thing with, 8.7 inches of ground clearance, I think. I mean, the Crosstrek is a really neat thing, and I'm surprised more automakers have not gone after this thing, because the Crosstrek is just a lifted Impreza. Lane departure. Lots of beeps from this thing. There's another Subaru. A lot of Subarus in New England. They have managed to market the heck out of these things. But the Crosstrek is such a cool thing because it is a tried and true Impreza that they lifted, and it just takes the guesswork out of rugged New England driving for people who aren't experts at like mild off-roading. You know, like you're never gonna go to the hiking trail in this thing and bash your oil pan on a rock. You'll probably just go over it. And I feel like most, and this is no offense to Crosstrek owners, I just think most Crosstrek owners, they're not like off-roaders, right? They're just people who want to get where they want to get, and they don't want any intervention. They want the car to do it for them, and this car does that. But it also has a lot of personality, because while This car is very rugged and utilitarian. Those are nice ways of saying cheap, because it just executes its purpose without any fanfare. When you get in the back seats, you look at like the buckles and stuff, like you can see exposed wires, not exposed wires, but you can see the wires. They're obviously covered with their shields and such. But there's really nothing in this car that screams luxury. It's not trying to impress you in any way. But it still somehow has a big personality. It's not just a refrigerator on wheels. And I think that speaks really loudly to the effort that Subaru goes to give these cars some personality and some charisma. Cruising in EV mode right now, just because we're mostly going downhill. The thing I like most about hybrids is the second I get into a car that has a purpose, whether that's a hybrid purpose or a race car purpose, I tend to just adapt and adjust to whatever that purpose is. So if I get in a GT3 RS, I want to be high revs, downshifting, chucking it into corners and enjoying it. You put me in a hybrid and I'm just as happy to hypermile it and try to get as much efficiency out of it as possible. So I find myself braking accordingly, so that way I'm using the brakes, but doing my best to only engage the regen to put power back into this 1.1 kilowatt hour battery, which is really small. And that gives you an idea of probably what it can do in EV mode, because an ultra efficient EV can do upwards of 5 miles on a kilowatt hour. That's the size of the battery. This obviously is not going to do that. So you probably only get like 2 or 3 miles tops out of the EV mode, and it'll only allow you to be in EV mode in very small spurts at low speeds, I think under 20 miles per hour. See, we can hit this button right here. See, EV mode. We'll go down this way. I'll drive very slowly. Now, unavailable, we've gone over 20 miles an hour. Now, unlike the Honda, we're going to turn that off for a second. Unlike the Honda, they're backwards. So Honda says on intermittent wipers, right? They say that big block means big rain, lots of rain, more rain. So less time between the intermittent wiping. Whereas in Subaru land, that means more time, bigger time, less rain. Isn't that interesting? These are the things that get me going. These are the things that drive me absolutely insane, because you can see big block to little block, and they can mean completely opposite things depending on the auto manufacturer, which is why I like that Honda even puts a bunch of raindrops at the top for the big one and one little raindrop at the bottom for the little one, to let you know. Every time this engine lights, it does feel a little eventful. Hey, same car. He liked it. Oh, it's like a Jeep Wave almost. He was so excited. Oh my God. It's so funny that you can have, like, this is what's fascinating to me about Subaru. Is Subaru is just a car, like, on its surface, right? You take away all of the marketing, you take away all of the reputation. It's just a car. I mean, it's really nothing that fancy. In fact, it's like the antithesis of fancy. And yet, it has such an incredible, what is going on here? It has such an incredible audience of people that just like love and respect it. And like, God, people just cannot drive. What is going on? If you've gotten into a turn-only lane, I'm sorry, buddy. You're going to have to turn. That's just the way she goes. And we're good. Oh, yes. Releasing some of the 194 horsepower. Regenning on the brakes. Lovely. You don't have a stop sign. Why would you stop? What is going on? Why is everybody just... Nobody understands their own right of way. You know what I've noticed lately, and I've been talking to the Topher Drives about this, Chris Brower. People are either so egregious that they do terrible things and they just run stop signs, red lights, etc. But more often than not lately, I've been watching people trying to like atone for their sins by being too courteous on the road. They let you go by giving up their right of way, which ends up making things way more dangerous because they'll stop in the middle of a busy road to say, oh, you go. And you're like, oh my God, you're going to die here. This is crazy what you're doing. And you have to wave them on because you're like, no, I don't want this. You're gonna cause a massive accident due to your perceived kindness. It's insane. Oh my goodness. All right, so I'm gonna park up, get into the gym. That is just a quick rainy commute, a normal drive, nothing too fancy, in the new Subaru Crosstrek Hybrid. I gotta say, I have like a real affinity for this car. I get it. It's not a car, like it's not something I would buy, but it is something that I can recommend to someone who's just looking for a car. And what's interesting about this is it's almost not the best at anything, and I still really like it, and that speaks volumes. What is that? Oh, it's like a little dome light down there. Interesting. I'm seeing the reflection off of it. It does not get the most MPGs. It gets 36 miles per gallon, but what it does do is it gets 36 city, 36 highway, obviously 36 combined. But I've been driving this for 265 miles, mixed driving, quite a bit of highway. I'm averaging 37.8, and up until last night, I was averaging 39, so maybe I had a heavier foot yesterday. Either way, it meets and exceeds those targets. Man, like, I think the Crosstrek in general is just such a great buy because it's one of the few cars that comes in under $30,000 and really gives you a decent package that not only is a decent package, but it's also not embarrassing. It has a personality. A lot of times when you get into the low price cars, you end up driving like a clown car. You end up driving something that like maybe isn't representative of you, where like in the Crosstrek, you can drive this car, you can be proud of this car, and it also says something about you. It's basically like a backpack you got from REI or something. Like it has some presence to it. It definitely has a personality. And I think that's really nice. My only gripes with this car dynamically, like I like the throttle tuning, I like the brakes, even on the regen, like everything really syncs up super well. The steering is just a little sharper than I would like. I wish they would relax that, because on the highway, I find myself like, oh man, if I like am not paying attention, but like if I let my eye off the ball for like a second, I'm like moving around, and it just takes a little extra effort that I would prefer not to have to use. But otherwise, man, this thing is it's not so precious. Like it has like all these surfaces, and like, you know, this is a press car with almost 9,000 miles on it. It's probably been through some things, but like these seats, yes, you can get a higher trim level and get leather. Why on earth would you? You want like the Sport Tex or whatever the heck this cloth is called, because you want to be able to beat the bag out of this thing. You want to be able to throw things in and out of this car, whether it's dogs, bikes, hiking gear, tents, whatever. You could sleep in this thing. You just don't want to have to think about it. Like if you scratched maybe like listen to that thing start up. If you scratched the leather steering wheel on your Honda Civic Hybrid, like you'd probably be really bummed out. This doesn't have that. And like, you can look at that as a detractor, but you can also look at it as a gift, because you can just use this as a piece of disposable equipment as long as it'll last, and you're good to go. Another gripe, and we'll get into this in the full review in the car, but good Lord, does this have like a laggy kind of infotainment system? It just, but it's functional. It's fully functional, but sometimes I press a button and I'm like, oh, I must not have pressed the button. But I did press the button. It's just taking 3 seconds to actually react. And it's inconsistent with that. So it is what it is. But anyway, I'm at the gym. This is just a quickie, just to do a little commute. And then we'll get into all the nitty gritty stuff of the Subaru Crosstrek and what it's like to live with in the full review. Thank you guys so much for watching, liking, commenting, and subscribing. Don't forget to respect the drive. And I'll see you in the next one.